Hey guys, here we are for another round of sharpening our skills, and we're going to look at complex sentences today. A complex sentence is combining an independent clause and a dependent clause. You do this all the time, however, you just don't know that you're doing it, and it's very useful, and we'll get into that more in about 2 seconds. So I know you've heard about independent clauses, but now it's time to learn about a dependent clause. So when something's dependent, it relies on something. Therefore, a dependent clause relies on an independent clause to create a complete sentence. A dependent clause cannot stand by itself. It would be considered a fragment. An independent clause is a simple sentence or a complete sentence that can stand by itself. Example, Coach Jones gave Mary the reward because she always cheered on her teammates. If you notice the second half of the sentence, because she always cheered on her teammates, cannot stand alone. Therefore, that is a dependent clause. If you look at the first half of the sentence, Coach Jones gave Mary the reward, that can stand on its own, and that would be your independent clause. Let's look at this example. Kyle arrived at the bus stop after the bus had already left. If you look at the second half of the sentence, after the bus had already left, that cannot stand alone. That is a sentence, that would be a sentence fragment, after the bus had already left. Kyle arrived at the bus stop is an independent clause or a simple sentence, and connected to after the bus had already left makes it a complex sentence, because Kyle arrived at the bus stop is an independent clause, after the bus had already left is a dependent clause. Now, a complex sentence can be inverted to create an inverted complex sentence. This is when the dependent clause comes before the independent clause and is set off with a comma. This is genius. Why is this genius? Because it will help you with transitioning between sentences without using words like first, second, third, therefore. It's okay to use those words, especially therefore, because you can use that with a semicolon, and that makes you look very smart. But now that you know how to write and you know how to carry on your thought and complete your paragraphs, you don't necessarily need first, second, third. You can use your inverted sentences to create transitions in between sentences using the content. So here's an example of an inverted sentence. When the final bell rings today, comma, I'm leaving for a weekend camping trip. If you notice, the first half of the sentence, when the final bell rings today, is your dependent clause. That's what's making it inverted. I'm leaving for a weekend camping trip, which we all know I would never do, is the independent clause that can stand on its own. This will help you transition between sentences and make your writing more lucid and fluid. So here we are, guys. We finished up another little tutorial on sharpening our grammar skills. I want you to navigate back over to the class website to complete your homework. It should be submitted via Google Classroom. And great job. You guys are doing a great job. I'm sure I'm seeing a lot of improvement in your writing, and I'm hoping that you're implementing these ideas into finding your collegiate voice.